Yellowstone is one of the most popular national parks in the United States, coming in second just behind the Great Smoky Mountains. When you think of Yellowstone National Park, a few things might come to mind. Incredible scenery, the famous geyser that erupts several times a day, or the giant supervolcano that lurks beneath the park. One thing that might not come to mind though is mysterious humanoids. Yet people who have visited the national park have come forward with their sightings and encounters, saying that they're certain that what they saw was a creature that resembles a human, was covered in fur and that stood between 7 and 9 feet tall. This creature closely matches that of a Bigfoot, and many people across the United States have said this creature is definitely genuine, but notes that it tends to stay out of the way of humans. One of the problems with these types of reports is being able to back them up with evidence. Most people can't, as the majority of these encounters are rushed, leaving the individuals questioning what it was they just encountered. One person though was able to capture proof of an alleged Bigfoot inside Yellowstone National Park. Mr. Wilson said the following about the image. "I'm an avid watcher of the Yellowstone National Park live cams. I've been fortunate enough to be able to visit these incredible locations many times over my life, and it's always been one of those places where I feel happiest. It's one of the most scenic and beautiful national parks we have, but due to my age and a few other problems I'm not able to visit as much. In fact, I haven't been here in a while. Something I often do is watch the live cameras that are set up around the park, although I've never seen anything like this before. While watching the cam, I noticed this large-looking human off into the distance. Now bear in mind this image has been zoomed in quite a lot, and there was no one else out there in that region. This thing is tall and it's the main reason I was able to spot it. In other parts of the national park I could see people off into the distance, and they looked tiny. This thing really stood out because of how tall it looked against the trees. I know that there have been reports of Bigfoot in and around Yellowstone National Park, and although I've always stayed pretty neutral on the topic, I have a close friend that's told me stories of when he camped in Yellowstone National Park and encountered something he couldn't explain. He is insistent that what he encountered while camping was that of a Bigfoot, and definitely wasn't something like a bison. I'm interested to hear what you think of this, so I've attached the photograph below. Again, I'm not claiming that this is a Bigfoot, but I can't see how it was a human. It stood out so much, and like I said, this creature is really tall against the nearby trees. I watch the live cams a lot, and this is the first time that I've seen a humanoid as large and as wide as this. I'd like to think that I know the difference between a standard human and whatever this is." End quote. This is one of the few times that a photograph of Bigfoot in Yellowstone has been captured within the national park. As mentioned earlier, although there's various stories floating around about people's encounters with this creature, very few have been able to photograph what they saw. Bigfoot researchers have said that for years now people visiting the national park have been seeing large hairy creatures, and state that most of these encounters happen during the nighttime with campers. When skeptics have seen these types of images though, they've said it's important to keep an open mind, and say that there's a lot of wildlife within Yellowstone National Park, and have said that people could just be misidentifying everyday creatures as Bigfoot. Although this is true, and that it's important to conduct as much research as possible when looking into these sightings, there's only a certain number of things that can be put forward in order to explain what's being seen. Eyewitnesses who claim that they've seen Bigfoot within Yellowstone say that you can't mix up this creature with that of local wildlife, going on to say that there's no humanoid creature within this region, and certainly not one that's able to reach these kinds of heights. The Sasquatch creature seems to stand somewhere between 8 and 10 feet tall. The creature is believed to have a total arm length of 120% the height of its body, similar to that of an ape-like creature with elongated forearms. Unlike an ape, however, the creature is believed to be bipedal. The bipedal nature of the creature most likely points to the theory of a working voice box, as the head would need to be in a position that allows for bipedal movement. Further evidence shows that the Sasquatch has a massive big toe to help with balancing issues, as it's nearly 3 times in volume in comparison to its size when adjusted for human scale. The Sasquatch is also seemingly covered in hair all over its body. For hundreds of years, mysterious reports have been made about large humanoids. Individuals have come forward with their encounters, and in some cases they even managed to photograph what they saw. However, even though they're seen by thousands of people yearly, scientists have said there's no such creatures, and what people are seeing is mundane things like everyday wildlife. Sightings of this beast have persisted for eons, since the time of the Aborigines and their ancient mythological folklore. What is all the more startling about these claims is that even in the modern day, people are still encountering these creatures. All across the globe there's been reports of them, from Tibet, America and even Australia. Although this is the case, people are still torn about what these creatures are, and whether there is any substance to these sightings. There's been a growing number of individuals that have come forward with new theories surrounding the Mothman and the possible nature of the creature. Given the fact that the strange encounters surrounding the creature have always been key in determining a future impending disaster, this has led many to believe that it may not be supernatural in nature, but rather that of a scientific advancement. Originally, the Mothman creature was first encountered in that of the small town of Point Pleasant in West Virginia. These sightings continued up until the collapse of the Silver Bridge, a tragedy that led to many people being injured and even more losing their lives. Interestingly, premonitions of this event occurred to many people in the town, of whom also spoke of encountering the Mothman prior to the collapse. After the encounters witnessed in the town of Point Pleasant back in 1966 to 1967, the Mothman creature would not return for another couple of decades, in which reported sightings of the creature were seen throughout the Soviet Union, but concentrated around the town of Pripyat and that of the Chernobyl power plant. In the months leading up to the Chernobyl incident in 1986, the workers at the Chernobyl power plant noticed the same creature reported throughout the town of Pripyat, and said it was hovering over the plant, and sometimes even resting on the larger towers and areas of construction. What grew even more perplexing for the workers were the reported number of incidents, of which people often claimed to have experienced harrowing nightmares of the creature, that would manifest into threatening phone calls from unknown numbers calling them all throughout the night, almost in a way to warn them about the impending dangers of the nuclear power plant. Many other claims that have come forward surrounding the creation provide predictions and premonitions to tragedies wherever it's sighted, leading some to believe that perhaps the Mothman is actually a time traveler in disguise. This would lead credence to the theory, as many have claimed to have seen the Mothman using electricity to vanish, possibly teleporting through space and time. One of the most interesting things about this creature that many aren't aware of is that it's still being sighted. One eyewitness reported seeing the creature above their house. They said the following: "I was taking pictures of the house and block as I do 2 to 3 times a year. I like to do this because I like to see how the house and shrubs change. As I was taking the pictures, I noticed that one picture had a clear sky in it, while another had an object in it." When the eyewitness shared the images, various different theories were put forward to try and explain what this was, with some saying that it looked like the mythical Mothman, while others said that it could have been a bat. Although bats can grow to 5 feet in length, the two look different when they're flying in the sky, as bats usually have V-shaped wings that are more narrow. Others pointed out that it looked like a giant moth, while cryptid researchers said that everything about this photograph matches that of the Mothman. Interestingly, for years now, everyday people have been coming forward with their stories of the Mothman, but as with many of these cases, those who encountered the creature wasn't quick enough to capture the event on camera, meaning that all they have to go by is their memory, and most don't believe that the event happened. This is one of those rare cases where the eyewitness didn't encounter the creature, but managed to accidentally capture it in the background of one of their images. Not everyone thinks the Mothman is good though. Some believe the creature is a bad omen. Point Pleasant holds an annual Mothman festival that recognizes the myth and draws many tourists to the local economy. A similar creature, or possibly the same one, was seen in New Haven, West Virginia. Allegedly, when 18-year-old Connie was driving home from church service, she saw a large grey figure 7 foot high, and it was standing at the roadside. It had the characteristic big bright red eyes. The creature then spread its wings and lifted into the sky. Not long ago, back in 2017, Mothman sightings had seemingly transitioned to Chicago. Lon Strickler tracks sightings on his website. They observed that by the second week in August in 2017, there were almost 30 sightings of a large flying humanoid in Chicago. Stickler then became interested in the Mothman phenomena after he allegedly encountered the creature as a child in Pennsylvania. The 2017 sightings were the most reports that he'd ever received in such a short time span. Interestingly, most of them occurred near Lake Michigan. A couple who were walking around North Lake Short Drive around 9:20 p.m. observed the winged cryptid swooping from the sky and flying towards them, slowly descending in front no more than 25 feet away. It hovered around 5 feet from the sidewalk, with its wings spread open as it peered at the couple with large bright eyes. Several people on the other side of the street, including a delivery van driver, reacted with shrieks and terrified screams. The creature hovered for around 10 seconds, then swiftly pulled the wings into its body and shot up quickly into the night sky. Another sighting occurred in the Auburn Gresham neighborhood, where 2 police officers, a journalist, and a group of other witnesses saw a dark shadow with wings, saying that it was standing on top of a building. Within 1 day, similar Mothman sightings occurred in both Melrose Park and River Forest, but these sorts of sightings are no way restricted to American territory. A group of 4 friends were outside walking home from a dance in Kent, which is in the United Kingdom, on November 16, 1963, when they heard a loud crackling sound. When they followed the sound, they saw a large humanoid figure with bat wings, saying that it was emerging from the nearby branches. Those who have encountered the creature are adamant about what they saw, and have said that it doesn't match any creature known to science. So what do you make of this mysterious photograph? Do you think it shows the Mothman, or is it a creature known to science that's being misidentified? Be sure to leave your questions and answers in the comment section below, and help us to grow this community while working to solve these unexplained mysteries. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos.